Not gonna lie, yeah, I'm after tall figures. I don't even wanna be involved with the way I am because I want it all.
Whoa, Double or Nothing is coming up on Sunday, and we're just going to do a preview of the show. Dynamite was not worth talking about. I guess I'll mix in some of what happened on the show during the predictions, but for the most part, we're just going to be talking about Double or Nothing. And then we're going to discuss Collision, because I have not had opportunity to really talk about Collision ending 30 minutes early, and what that may entail for AEW in the future. So let's get right into it. Let's get right into this thing. Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Moné. The 2025 Women's Owen Hart Foundation Cup Tournament Final. The final segment between these two was a face-off. Jamie Hayter says that overlooking her is a good way to get hurt, that she might be rough around the edges, but she's a fighter, and all these people, including her opponents and the crowd, have molded her into what she is. And if she loses, there's going to be questions about who is Jamie Hayter, why she even come back, can she still do this? Then Mercedes Moné called herself the Beyonce of women's wrestling. Oh my God, the Beyonce of women's wrestling. Ooh, she's really going for it with that one. Oh my God. She's not even the Kelly Rowland, if we're being honest. Anyway, it's funny because she based her original character off Nicki Minaj. Anyway, she said she was a revolution, the Beyonce of women's wrestling, and that she's not looking past Jamie Hayter. She's looking through Jamie Hayter. It's her destiny to become the world champion. She's 25-0, 360 days as TBS champ, unpinned, unsubmitted. This is about her legacy. And then Jamie Hayter reminded us and everyone else that Mercedes has already lost. She lost the New Japan Strong Championship, and that it is her legacy and her destiny to lose it all. To which Mercedes attacked her. They brawled a little bit, and then Jamie Hayter knocked her out to end the segment. There's just zero chance of Jamie Hayter winning this match. There's just no way in hell Jamie Hayter is winning. There's really no point in even humoring the idea. So, Jamie Hayter is going to lose. What does this mean for Jamie Hayter? That's a good question. I think she's hit a ceiling in AEW. I really do. I just don't think there's anything you can do. There's those girls from the first 5 or 6 years who they're not hanging tough. You know, almost all of them are gone. You know, one of them should be gone because never should have been there in the first place. But the Rihos, the Yuka Sakazakis, the Hikaru Shida, all of them are pretty much in the waste bin at this point. Serena Deeb. And Jamie Hayter is from that class. She's from that original 3 or 4 years at the beginning. There's just nothing more for her in AEW. And it was clear to me that she was done when she came back on a pre-show and didn't sniff anywhere near the title that she lost, quote unquote, when she was injured. It just appeared to me then that she was not going to ever get back to that level, and it doesn't seem like it's ever going to happen for her. And as new girls come in, I see that they're talking about this girl Tekla or whatever her name is. It's supposed to be coming to AEW soon. She's some kind of hotshot free agent from Stardom. There's not going to be a lot of space for somebody like Jamie Hayter as a babyface or a heel. You know, you got Megan Bayne there, you got Mercedes there, you got this new girl coming in. I'm guessing she's a heel. Who knows? Mariah May still might stay in the company. She's going to be a heel. And on the babyface side, you got Toni Storm, you got Willow, you got Chris Statlander. You know, it just is. I'm not saying they have the best women's roster in the world or anything, but it's pretty clear that somebody like Jamie Hayter, much like somebody like Chris Statlander, much like somebody like Camille, just is going to get lost in the shuffle in AEW. It's just unfortunate. And Mercedes is probably going to be the women's champion by the end of the year, which is pretty obvious to me and anybody with common sense. All right, the second match listed, the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin versus the Sons of Texas, Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. So they did a face-off too, because they did a lot of face-offs on this show. And the big segment was MJF signing the Hurt Business contract, which went on without a hitch for some reason. Usually there's some kind of hitch, but there was no hitch here. I'm guessing there's something in the contract that is going to pop up later. Anyway, Dustin came out and cut a really, really long promo. And Sammy Guevara is dressed like he's going on a job interview, which he might as well, because I don't see him being around much longer. In any event, Dustin's promo begins with him having respect for MVP, while him thinking MJF is a snake and warning the Hurt Syndicate about that. Then he said that him and Sammy fight with honor, passion, and heart, and they have a great work ethic. And then he meandered about some other stuff and said that, better be ready for us at Double or Nothing. And I'm like, yeah, right. The Hurt Syndicate is about to kill these guys. This match really isn't even pay-per-view worthy. It's just to get the Hurt Syndicate on TV. On pay-per-view. I don't understand. I wouldn't have crashed the MJF thing for this. I would have maybe done something a little bit more impactful with MJF. But that was just a way, I guess, of, hey, if we told you Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes were going to talk, you probably wouldn't watch the show. So there's that. The Hurt Syndicate, easy. Timeless Toni Storm versus Mina Shirikawa for the AEW Women's World Title. And the main event of Dynamite was Mina Shirikawa defeating Julia Hart. Man, what the hell? The less said about it, the better. But they really tanked this show. And it's not like they tanked it on purpose. Like, they don't want to run the risk of anybody getting hurt or anything like that. Like, this show was really bad. Like, it was exceptionally bad, especially compared to the rest of the AEW shows. Timeless Toni Storm is going to win. There's no issue here. Mina pinned Toni in a fatal 4-way like a week or so ago. That's the only reason they're having this match. It feels tacked on. It doesn't have any heat. And Mina, I'm guessing, is a permanent fixture in AEW now. I think she officially left Japan. But I hate to do this because people don't like when I do this. But this girl's almost 40 years old. She looks great. But she's like 37 or 38 or something like that. 36. And I don't think there's going to be a long-term future for Mina Shirikawa. But she's going to get to make some good money in America. So that'll be great. That'll be great. But once she loses this match, she's probably going to go down to Ring of Honor or something like that, where she'll be shaking it up in the biker bars or whatever the fuck. Unfortunate for her. Toni Storm, well, we're building that Toni Storm Mercedes match, which is inevitable. And that's sensible for Toni to get there through Mina. But it just feels like a speed bump. It doesn't feel like a real challenger. Match 4, FTR versus Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness. This one sucks. Well, the reason why they're putting it on pay-per-view is because Nigel McGuinness is wrestling. All right. And he wrestles seldomly. This is only going to be like his 4th match in AEW. And this is going to be a match I go to the bathroom. Maybe I go get something to eat. Maybe you pay a little bit more attention to whatever's going on in NXT. FTR is going to win. I just don't see the point in this match. AEW likes to pull in these really random contests like this. I don't care about this. They cut a promo on the show too, but I don't care about that either. So let's move on. Match 5, Mark Briscoe versus Ricochet in a stretcher match, which also feels like a match that should probably be on TV and not here on pay-per-view. Ricochet defeated Anthony Bowens in a match. It wasn't terrible. It also wasn't great. They did all the usual stuff. Ricochet was humorous and got his bald head slapped. Ricochet stabbed Anthony Bowens in the face or in the head with some scissors. and then hit, I think, the spirit gun to get the pin. It was just meh, big old bowl of meh. And then Mark Briscoe attacked Ricochet from behind. So they're going to have this stretcher match. I'm not sure that a stretcher match is needed here, but if you're going to do it, feels like filler for TV rather than filler for pay-per-view. This pay-per-view has 8 matches, and these matches are probably going to be about 20 minutes apiece. You know, like, that's psychotic booking, man. Every match, every show is a festival. Every pay-per-view is like a fucking wrestling festival where every match is 15 minutes or whatever. But this certainly is better off on Dynamite or something. All right, next. Anarchy in the Arena. Kenny Omega, Swerve Strickland, Willow Nightingale, and Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs. And Kazuchika Shibata. So all 3 of them? Okay. Versus the Death Riders, which is Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Marina Shafir, and Wheeler Yuta, as well as the Young Bucks. It just feels like everybody is in this match. It just feels like a stew. Like we just threw carrots and peas and potatoes and spinach and everything just in this pot. I guess each side has one woman, which I guess is fair enough. The coinciding match on the show was Moxley and the Young Bucks versus Swerve, Samoa Joe, and Powerhouse Hobbs. And this match was over 20 minutes of bullshit, as usual, that ends in a roll-up, as usual, with Swerve, I believe, rolling up one of the Young Bucks. There was, of course, a post-match assault. We saw Claudio and Shibata show up. They were both fighting. Then Willow and Omega cleaned house. And finally, Joe said that they were coming after the Death Riders tonight. That didn't make sense because they did not come after the Death Riders tonight. They actually didn't do anything to the Death Riders. This was kind of it. Or as I wrote down, Elite Riders. Because that's what I had in my mind. So, this is going to be a 12-man car crash. You know, the Vince Russo favorite, where it's a nightmare to produce. It's a nightmare to watch. I don't understand how people in the arena like it, because there's so much happening at one time. Like, there's people over here, but there's also people over there, and there's also people over there. So you can't always follow everything because there's going to be people everywhere. But AEW insists on doing it. It's their version of Survivor Series, I guess, or, you know, one of their 2 conceptions that kind of equate to War Games or something. But I really don't know who could win. I'm going to guess the Death Riders are going to win because Jon Moxley, and they're going to want Moxley to go into All In strong. That's what I'm going to guess, you know. So I'm going to guess that the Death Riders are going to win. It would explain why they didn't win on Dynamite. And I'm going to guess that Moxley is the one who wins for his team. But I don't care about this. Of course, the question is going to be, whose music are they going to play? They're probably going to have a medley of a little bit of everybody's music. Or are they just going to play Willow Nightingale's theme throughout the entirety of the show? They're going to play Willow's theme throughout the entirety of the show. You're going to have that happy-go-lucky music play as everybody's getting hit over the head with garbage cans and all this kind of stuff. Look, this match is a disaster to watch. It might be the one match on the show, though, that doesn't put people to sleep. So there's that. Talk about people going to sleep. Kazuchika Okada versus Speedball Mike Bailey for the Continental Championship. This happened because Speedball Mike Bailey was kicking Okada in the thigh meat last week and made him run away. And Okada called out Speedball on the Dynamite. There's a time where this match would have been interesting, but that time is not today. Okada has been, he's worse than the Surfer. You know, like we thought Nakamura going surfing was bad, but Okada's not even doing that, man. I don't think he's even bothered. I don't think he has any hobbies. He's probably just laying on his couch in a catatonic state until it's time for Dynamite. And then he gets up and there's already a suit ironed for him. He lives like the Sims, I would imagine. You know, where there's just life events happening in between his wrestling. I just don't look at the guy and think he has anything fun to do. You know, like what is he doing? And I do kind of question, is he living in America or is he flying back and forth from Japan? Because we heard in the promo earlier, Will Ospreay says he flies back and forth between America and England every week, which I know is a lot of money and a lot of miles. Is they flying Okada in every week too? I mean, is that the kind of money Tony Khan is waving around? I don't know if it's worth it. But Mike Bailey lives in Canada. And he certainly isn't worth flying in. Look, I guess for people who are work rate marks, this ought to be an exciting match. For somebody like me, well, wake me up when it's over. This is certainly another one of those TV matches. I hate this because I always talk about WWE shows. They only give you 5 matches, which is not literally enough. And the matches are too long. Here, they give you too many matches. And a lot of the matches are built basically off of flimsy storytelling. I've said that of this 8-match card, probably 4 of them shouldn't even be on the show. This, of course, is one of them. You know, Briscoe and Ricochet, FTR versus Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness, the Hurt Syndicate versus Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. None of those matches should be pay-per-view matches. But it has to be a happy medium between wrestling festival, wrestling parade, where it's, you know, wrestling Mardi Gras, where it's just all day long. Tits and beads all day long. Just all day long. And nothing but adverts. The wrestling equivalent to Times Square, where you just go there, oh, it's beautiful, and then you got every ad imaginable pumped right into your brain for 3 hours. It's got to be something better than this when we talk about pro wrestling at this point. But as of right now, it's not. Okada's going to win because they're building up a match with Kenny Omega. And they may have Okada cost Omega the match in the Anarchy in the Arena thing, maybe, in order to build that. I don't know. I don't care about this match. I would imagine nobody does. The main event, believe it or not, they politic their way into the main event. Will Ospreay versus Hangman Adam Page, the 2025 Men's Owen Cup Final. And they did an over 15-minute promo on Dynamite. Over 15 minutes. And the problem with this segment, I'm not going to give you a blow by blow. I will give you a summary. Well, let's get into it, then I'll give you what the problem is. So Ospreay wanted to apologize for nearly giving Hangman an elbow face last week. He brought a beer, but Hangman wouldn't toast with him because Hangman is still being a difficult guy. He's hard to get. Ospreay drinks the beer anyway. He then says that he wanted this to be the Double or Nothing main event, and it is. And he says that the winner gets to bring the belt back, which is what's at stake here. Says he's been doing 12 to 15 hour flights every week. He's constantly jet lagged, but he wants to wear that belt with pride. He wants to take it home to Forbidden Door so his son can see him as world champion, so his wife could be proud of him, so that all of his friends and supporters that he saw when he was coming up through the European Indies can see him as world champion, and everybody can be proud of him and realize all the sacrifice that he put in and all of their support didn't go to waste. Then Hangman Page says that for Will Ospreay, this is business. This is all about accomplishments. But for him, it's personal that he needs this opportunity because he wasted 2 years of his life on grief and hate, that his son is disappointed in him. His wife doesn't see the man she married when she looks at him. And he wants to turn all of that around. He needs this for himself. Then Hangman. Now let's pause right here. This is where I had the problem, is because they both basically said the same thing. I want my son to look at me as a world champion, and I want my wife to respect me because I'm the world champion. They both said that, right? They're showing you the parallels between the two while they're trying to tell you, like, oh, this is different for you because it's just about business, but it's personal for me, but it's both. I want my son to look at me with special levels of reverence because I'm the world champion. They basically stole each other's lines, which means that they didn't put that much thought into this, and this didn't need to be 15 minutes. So after that, Ospreay said that Hangman Page has been on a vendetta against Swerve, and it changed him. That kids don't look up to him anymore. The boys in the back don't respect him anymore. He said, oh, wow, that's because he tried to kill Swerve? Wait a minute, you got a maniac running around stabbing people with scissors, and Hangman's the bad guy? I don't know, man. So Will Ospreay says that he's just a guy who does his best, but his best was good enough to beat all these superstars and legends, the people he named. And then he says that he's calling out Hangman for a shootout in the desert, and they both played in beer, where Will Ospreay, who is now dressed like a bum, and he's covered in beer, and Hangman Page sips some beer, and then they both look at each other as they walk up the ramp, gingerly, not taking their eyes off of one another and going the other way. And there's some people who are excited about this. I'm not one of those people. I will say that I would have liked if Hangman was the only one who cut this promo, because Hangman's a better promo than Will Ospreay. He seems to have more natural emotion, and he's not a great promo by any means, but he found something here that I thought was solid. He's leaning on the character arc. The 2 years that we've been watching him go heel and attack Swerve and be, rampaging and very angsty and angry, they're trying to tap into the same Hangman that was the guy who chased Omega for the title. They're trying to tap into that again. That was alcoholism, that story, right? Like, he was derailed for, I think, a year or two, for alcoholism and the Dark Order and all that kind of stuff. And he had to hit rock bottom and build himself back up. And now they're saying, okay, now he's got sink to the bottom due to Swerve's depravity. And Swerve brought him down. Swerve broke him. And now he's got to put himself back together. And this is part of that. And if you go through how characters should work, then absolutely Hangman should win this match, because it's sensible that he is actually on a character journey to rebuild himself and rebuild his image after all this time. While Will Ospreay is just, I want to be champion, bro, because I'm the best in the world, bro. Did you see my cut? Cody called my cut. What? Cody stole my cut. What? Cody is still my cut. What? Anyway, it's at the same time, let's just talk about this. I think everybody is sitting back just waiting for Will Ospreay to win the title, and Hangman Page is not somebody that people are sitting back waiting for. Will Ospreay is. And in theory, now that Darby Allin has climbed Mount Everest and put the AEW flag up there, I'm glad he did that, by the way. I'm glad he's done with that and he didn't die. He is for some people, the end game. That the ultimate goal is to put the belt on Darby Allin. If that's the case, then it doesn't matter who wins this match, does it? Because neither one of them are the guy that's going to beat Jon Moxley. Now, in this situation, you should probably put Hangman over. It's a stronger character arc. He has the following in terms of the fan base. You could always play into the Texas theme because you got a cowboy in Texas, even though he's from Virginia, and probably a Washington Redskins fan. You could also play off the Texas cowboy, all in Texas gimmick. You can always play into that. And look, Will Ospreay hasn't been hurt by not being world champion yet. But I also know how AEW books. And they don't book in terms of what would make sense for the character arc. They book in terms of what would make the best match. And 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. They're just going to go with Will Ospreay winning. And that's what it feels like to me. I'm going to pick Hangman to win because I think he should win. But I know AEW is going to just have Will Ospreay win because it's the best option for AEW. In terms of, they brought in Will Ospreay as being this huge star, and last year they sacrificed him to Swerve so that Swerve could have his moment in the sun, under the belief that the next year they would get to Will Ospreay. Well, now it's the next year. And I don't think they would want Will Ospreay to work the main event of All In and lose. Part of the reason why I have a difficult time with the Will Ospreay suggestion is because I don't see a character arc for Will Ospreay. I don't see a character at all with Will Ospreay. It's much like what Dave Meltzer said. He's a superstar wrestler with a superstar character. He's a superstar matches and superstar moves. But none of that stuff feels organic. And none of that stuff feels like it has any real connection. It seems like, yeah, we want to watch Will Ospreay do moves. But when it comes to Hangman, it seems like it might be something more emotional there. It might be something a little bit grittier that might stand the test of time in terms of a story, which obviously means that AEW is going to go Will Ospreay. But I'm not sure that Hangman wins the title, but I think he will win the tournament. All right, so AEW Double or Nothing will be in the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. 10 days before the show is when WrestleTix last updated. They sold 6,000 tickets out of a setup of 6,800. I'm going to project things to about 7,200 maybe. I think they'll break their current capacity of 6,800 and they'll probably stretch it to 7,200 or maybe 7,300 by showtime. And I think they'll get a nice little walk up of about 400, 500 people. I don't think the building will be packed, but I think it will look nice. They're holding their annual event in Glendale, Arizona, which I know is got to be painful because who's ever been there? I don't know how far this is from Phoenix. Oh, I looked and it's only like 20 minutes away, maybe 20 to 30 minutes away. All right, that's not too far then. So, I expect them to get 7,500 in the building, which is more than the capacity is set up for now. And I don't think that this Go Home show will have anything to do with it because the Go Home show has been pretty bad. It was actually quite awful. If I had tickets, I would consider selling them. All right, so let's talk about this what happened on Collision. So Saturday, May 17th, Collision was 90 minutes because the show cut off 30 minutes early. And apparently people thought that it was thought it was a transmission error on the East Coast, and that when the West Coast feed comes through, that the show will actually play in full. Turns out, no, that didn't happen at all. Instead, they also got a 90-minute episode of Dynamite. And so the last 30 minutes were lost to history. So they directed people to go to the Max app and other streaming services if they wanted to watch the whole show, which actually might have been a blessing in disguise. Look, I'm not sure what the hell was missed on Collision, but I would imagine there was people who wanted to see the end of the show who probably did go to the streaming service and say, hey, I just want to see what the hell I missed, what happened. But it's AEW, so nothing happened. You didn't miss anything. It's not like somebody got hit with a fireball at the end of the show or something like that and you missed it and you didn't see it. It's not like, some huge star showed up at the last 2 minutes of the program and you missed it. I mean, this is Collision we're talking about here. Look, I realize it's the principle of the thing. You don't want to invest a whole lot of time in the show and then it cuts off on you early. But I say unto thee, that's what you get for watching Collision. Why the fuck are you watching Collision? If you're listening to this and you've been watching Collision, shame on you. What the hell's wrong with you? Have you not been listening to me? Stop watching that show. I can guarantee you that there's nothing that happens on Collision that you will miss that will hurt your fandom. I promise you. Because I ain't watched Collision in over a year. Okay, so it's been well over a year since I watched Collision. And here's the thing. When I say I don't watch it, I mean I don't watch it. I don't even put it on as background music. And sometimes I do that for like indie shows or something. I'll just throw it on in the background. If I see an indie show, I'll just throw it on in the background while I'm doing something else. I don't even do that for Collision. It's that pointless. It's that filled with people I don't want to watch. And now you're watching Collision. In 3-count commentary, sitting here complaining because Collision got cut off early. You should be ashamed of yourself. Go stand in the corner. Go put your head in the corner. Put your dunce cap on tight. You had no business watching Collision in the first place. You shouldn't even known this happened. I didn't know it happened until the next morning. That's how out of it I was. I didn't even know this shit happened until the next morning. I was like, wait a minute, they did what now? Oh, so they did you a favor. They told you to go get a fucking life. Here's Black Adam. Something so bad you're going to have to turn your TV off. And then they spent the whole night complaining about this. Where's my Collision? Bring Collision back. Like, no. How about we start Black Adam at 8:15 every week to cut Collision off the first 15 minutes of the show? Seriously. This is the most motion Collision has had in a long time. Them cutting Collision short was the best marketing gimmick for Collision that they ever could have had. Now they can see how many people are actually invested in Collision. How many people are actually watching it? How many people jumped over to Max or the streaming service to see the end of the show? Because if the numbers are big, then they can see, people care about Collision. We'll keep it on the air. But if people just say, man, I'm going to tweet about this, but I really don't care what happened at the end, then Tony Khan's got to sweat in his office about nobody caring about his little wrestling show. But, you shouldn't have been watching Collision anyway. Shame on everybody who's been watching Collision. You should be ashamed of yourself. You really should. You should feel bad. You really should feel bad. Anyway, let's wrap this up. Enjoy Double or Nothing. I will probably be watching Battleground and Double or Nothing around the same time. I'll try to watch them both at the same time like I did every time they go head to head. So we'll see how it works. But let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
No one does it better.